BeardMeatsFood, and I'm Josh Gudgeon.
And this is the Breaking Bread podcast, where each episode we talk nonsense, pretty much in the hope that some people find entertaining.
How grand was that? And this.
And I don't know why I did that with it's like a yogi thing, wasn't it? But can I start this podcast just first off, if you'll allow me the indulgence, by apologising because I had a grand total of about 2 hours, 45 minutes sleep last night, thanks to Mrs. Beard. So if I'm not bringing the energy as much as usual, that's why.
Did your sleeping tips not work then, listening to Bob Ross? And I thought you listened to like ladies talking into microphones as well.
I like a little ASMR. Yeah, Bob Ross is my go-to choice, but sometimes...
What was the other thing? Like they were a didgeridoo. You listen to a didgeridoo?
No, like, panpipes and kind of Himalayan singing bowls and shit like that. I'm in for that. But no, she's like... Mrs. Biz, she's like a mythical beast, from folklore that you just can't wake, and she sleeps so like her slumber is that deep. I mean, I just have to get up in. I don't want to get in the other bed because I'm not a 90-year-old. I don't want to sleep separately. But sometimes it's becoming more and more common that I do that.
What is it like? So she's having the best night escape ever, laid on her back, face and nose in air, just throwing out some Zeds, and you're just. I can imagine you just under your.
Yeah, I don't sleep well anyway. But yeah, she'll go. She could sleep on a fucking washing line. I'm not even joking. She'll just hits the pillow at night, babe. And she, 3 minutes later, she's snoring, and I'm like, oh god, here we go, and then. Yeah, inevitably 3 hours later, I'm just okay. I can't handle it anymore. But sometimes I'm like, I want to sleep here. And that was last night.
It's almost like it's like a self-fulfilling thing, isn't it? Like the more you want to sleep, the angrier you get, which wakes you up, and you want to fall. Like, is that what it's like?
Yeah, that's what it's like for me.
You go around. What causes you not to be able to sleep very well? Like
I don't know. I've never really been that deep of a sleeper. I find it difficult to turn my brain off. I think
it's like self-employed, and you've got like 2 videos a week, and you think of where to go. You've got edit to do. You've got 2 podcasts.
I think it's well. No, I don't want to. I'm not going to get the violins out. I'm not really complaining about that. But yeah, I'm always thinking about stuff. And I find it quite hard to shut my brain off, I think.
Fair cop, mate.
In general.
No, I get that. Well,
I got some McDonald's coffee today. Not that I'm advertising or anything.
There's a nice plug. Didn't you say that's just made of chemicals?
I said it was liquid smack in my last video because there's something in McDonald's coffee.
Liquid smack.
I don't know. Like McDonald's coffee should not be better than like a Starbucks coffee. It just shouldn't be, but it is. Just tastes better. You want more of it. And you can't really explain why, so I think that has to be a chemical of some kind.
I think it's subjective. Like some of it depends on which coffee. I quite like the flat white from McDonald's, but if you get like an Americano, it tastes like you're just drinking an ashtray. In my opinion,
you think that's just a black? That's an Americano, just a black coffee with like fucking 7 sweeteners in there. But yeah, anyway.
I liked your recent video.
Thank you.
Although I do think you're trying to trick us because.
Which one are you talking about?
The burger challenge. You did 3 burgers. You had a halloumi burger, a big burger, and another burger, and some chips. That was one that's gone out most recently.
Is that you, Mike, or is that you?
That was me, mate.
This guy.
That was me. But obviously we're in the new year, and it was the dialogue fed that we're in the new year. You had a hangover. But what I did spot, and I'm sure the other people may have spotted it, is the dude that served you in the Christmas.
He just loves Christmas. He just, he's keeping it going. No, yeah, it was shot. A lot of the stuff that, in fact, even I did a hot dog video. I don't know if you saw that one. And that was, at the beginning of that video, I said it's 2022 because I knew in my head it was going up in 2022, but I shot that in fucking November.
I remember you doing that, because when we first started the podcast, and I remember watching it going, the foresight to give the intro. Oh, it's 2022. Yeah.
You always got if you do this for some level of career, you got to have stuff on the conveyor belt, right?
What a professional. I like it, mate.
Yeah. It was hard to disguise the fact that it was
Christmas trees in background.
Yeah.
Michael Bublé's played. I won't do this to death, but unfortunately there's no Spotify deal yet.
Whatever. I mean, I think
I want to go into it with enthusiasm, but I feel like I'm being beaten down.
Fuck Spotify, man. I'm gonna go out there and say we don't need them.
Bleep that out. But anyway, this is your podcast, mate. This is we're going to try and do some FAQs on basically the weird fads or like the eating fads that seem to come in during January. Carnivore diet, keto diet, intermittent fasting, eating a piece of broccoli a day for 2 days and then a full chicken's leg. I don't know, there's a bunch of them in there. So we've put it out to our Twitter sphere, your Twitter sphere and the Instagram people for some questions, but we are going to lead off on just some of your frequently asked questions and a bit of an educational podcast today because people do wonder how can somebody of 4'6" and 3 stone eat so much food, not put on any weight. And I can confirm he is actually mega shredded because he had to take his top off when we did the chicken wing song.
I'm not mega shredded, man.
You're like a really little Dorito. The really little pale Dorito. That's what you like.
That's going in my Twitter bio now. The pale Dorito. Yeah. I'm not mega shredded. I was formerly, but not really now. But yeah, I thought because it's January, right? It might make sense because everyone's usually this time of year hopping on that diet train. So, I mean, in normal times, forget January, there's not a day goes by I don't get a comment or a message or something asking me about like how do you lose weight or how you're not fat, this and that. I thought it'd be the perfect time in January to talk a little bit as concisely as we can about diet, weight loss, weight management in general.
So this can be attached to any video of yours moving forward when people ask you. I know you've done a full 2-hour video explaining it, but this could be like an updated version.
I did. I think there's a video that's like 5 minutes long. That's pretty much as short as I could make it, right? But this could be a revised one because I make a few grammatical errors there. I think because it's kind of chopped together and it was scripted, that one. I say less a lot instead of the word fewer. But maybe this could be an updated version of that because I mean people still haven't seen that. So I mean, the more content that's out there whereby I talk about simple things relating to diet, the better, I think.
Yeah, it's a good educational piece for everybody because I know that is a question you get asked a lot. A lot of people don't know, like it's just not something that's taught very well, I believe, across society. It's a little bit like, I feel that most adults need to at least pay for a personal trainer for a short period of time to understand basic movements of exercises. Because you're going to the gym in January and there's people doing bent over rows or deadlifts, like it's going to snap the back in half. And, like the investment of £20 an hour or £30 an hour in a personal trainer, just, for a month or two, just to learn the movement is money well spent, in my opinion.
If you get a good personal trainer, because it's really, really easy. Like you could teach a chimp to, I have the like reps level 3 or whatever they call it these days, which means you're a qualified personal trainer. You could teach a chimp to do that. I'm not joking. But yeah, if you get a good personal trainer, that's a good thing because a lot of people don't learn. That's more of an exercise thing, right? But you're right, they don't learn the mechanics of basic resistance movements, which I think everyone should do, even from just not because you want to be a bodybuilder, but you should do it because it gives you longevity into old age, posture, even things like that, nutrient partition are all a factor. When it comes to some kind of resistance training, it's a good thing to do it.
Maybe we'll get onto the exercise a little bit later on then, but let's start with some of the fad diets. So like we've got some notes here. So ketogenic diets, like I've heard this a number of times. I'm going keto. Can you explain, I guess you...
Yeah, don't get me started on ketogenic diets.
Go to church, son. Go to church, preach.
I'll try not to ramble and get really angry because some people get really precious about, ketogenic diets. In simple terms, the best way to explain a ketogenic diet is, right, it's a no carbohydrate diet. So it's a more extreme version of a low carb diet, right? But the purpose of which is I mean, it sounds on the surface good because you can eat like all the, red meat you want or chicken wings, cheese and whatnot. The point is that you don't have any dietary carbohydrate that you consume, which is, of course, your body's preferred energy source. And because of that, your body has to go into ketosis. Ketosis is a process which happens even if you're not in a carb depleted state. It happens if you're losing weight in general. But your body makes ketones essentially to use for energy in the absence of carbohydrates, or ketone bodies, I should say. But people love ketogenic diets, right? Typically, the people that love ketogenic diets are kind of yo-yo dieters or people who aren't really... They're the kind of people that go on diets, right? Rather than having a lifestyle which is sustainable. I need to lose, 20 pounds before I go to Marbella. No carbs before Marbs and all that, And they'll do it because it's kind of instantly gratifying, right? Because if you go on a ketogenic diet, it's unpleasant because you can't eat carbohydrates, right? Yeah. And we haven't even mentioned the fact that it can be really unhealthy, right? Because you're missing out on things like fruits, vegetables for no real reason. But the reason people enjoy it is because they see such an impact so quickly, right? Because they'll maybe drop in their first week, they'll maybe drop like 6 pounds or 10 pounds or crazy numbers. And the reason for that is you're losing some fat there, but predominantly it's the transient stuff that you lose, like the glycogen, sodium, water. So you lose a lot because you're not consuming any carbohydrate, right? Which leads you to retain, the aforementioned things. And sooner or later, that progress plateaus and people get mad about that, and then so they come off and they want the.
So just on that, let's keep it I'll try and keep it as base level as possible. So like to go into ketosis or to go into keto, remove the carbohydrates. Isn't there a certain amount of water that's attached to the processing of carbohydrates or the retention? It's like with sodium, for example. If you take a gram of sodium, you'll retain X grams of water, which means
I don't know what it is. Is it 4 grams?
I don't know.
Something like that, but it is a substantial amount. Yeah. So if you drop carbohydrates entirely, people think, I've lost 10 pounds of fat. You haven't. You've lost some fat, but predominantly you lost all the transient things which are stored in your body, as a result of consuming carbohydrate. And I think ketogenic diets, I don't want to just slam them for no reason, because I think for me the only real world application for them is. I think there were some studies done suggesting that it can be, I don't know how conclusive they were, but suggesting it could be helpful to kids with epilepsy, I think. Right. I read some journals and stuff from time to time, and they said that for whatever reason they found that it could reduce the number of seizures kids have that have epilepsy. But for the average person, not only is it not particularly beneficial in the long term, it really reduces advocacy of a diet, right? And the most important thing if you're going to try and lose weight, get in shape, whatever it might be in the new year, the most important thing is that you do it over time, right? And you don't crash diet and come off and back on and all that. And if you're depriving yourself of an entire macronutrient group and one that most people enjoy, carbohydrate, there's nothing wrong with bread. There's nothing wrong with pizza dough or pasta, right? Consumed in moderation. And if you say, no, I can't have that at all, what does it mean? Psychologically, it means you're going to want to eat that all the time. And once you come off, then you're going to people feel the guilt and stuff. So
one thing I will add to that is those that are listening to this and you might be thinking, are they just going to ramble on about different diets? Ultimately, by the end of this podcast, we want to give you at least some functional information so you can go forward and sort of make your own changes if you wish to your lifestyle to be able to be more consistent. I think consistency is key with anything, whether you're trying to lose weight, you're training, you're trying to build a business, you're whatever, like relationships, like consistency is kind of key. You just got to keep keep the fundamentals in place. But we are going to talk about a couple of extremes and then try and make it more practical for those that, because you might be listening to this and go, I've actually done that. I've tried to go keto. I lost 6 pounds in a week, did it for 2 weeks. I was down, 10 pounds. And then I dropped off it for a couple of days and boom, I'll back up by 6 pounds. So many people will have done that. So yeah, we're just trying to keep it as practical as possible.
I might just, this is my fault, I might just ramble on about things I don't like. We'll try to be objective, and there will be a point of this podcast where I give you maybe a 1 minute or 2 minute nugget of knowledge that you might think, okay, that's how it works, right? Because really, losing weight, gaining weight, getting fit, improving a particular performance aspect of a sport, those things are not complicated, regardless of what other people might tell you. But yeah, we thought it'd be fun to just ramble on about some stupid fad diets.
You've put on here Tom Brady's alkaline diet.
Yeah, I'm not going to ramble on about that too much, but that was...
I've never heard of that. Tom Brady's the American football player, yeah?
Yeah, the famous quarterback,
QB.
Right? Tom Brady, who's still playing, I think, now, despite being fucking, what is he, 42 or something?
Yeah, he's old, isn't he?
I mean, they don't move much to their quarterbacks at the risk of offending NFL fans. But yeah, that was another one that was... and again, I'm not knocking Tom Brady. The dude's a professional athlete, right?
Like you.
No, like a real one. But there was a point when he was, I don't know if he was advertising or somebody was like, he was attached to some company promoting an alkalizing diet, a diet whereby you eat foods which alkalize your body, alkalize your stomach. If you successfully alkalize your stomach, which is meant to be acidic, you're going to kill yourself if you could do that. Yeah, it's supposed to be an acidic environment, and there aren't foods that can like alkalize your blood. I don't know where that even came from.
I've heard of one before. Like, I don't remember. I think it might have been the dude called Jesse Itzler. He's been on. He wrote a book, Living with Seals. So he had David Goggins come and live with him for like 2 weeks.
He's a bit intense, that guy, isn't he?
He's one of Rogan's mates, but I'm pretty sure that he swore for 20 years, right? That. Quote me if I'm wrong, anybody in the comments, I'm sure you will. But he doesn't eat anything but bananas before like 1 p.m. Something to do with that fruit and the natural. He's a vegan. He's a vegan as well. And there's also one where like he won't have coffee, or maybe not him, but somebody said they won't have coffee first thing in the morning. They'll have like an alkali based water to neutralize the stomach and the body before they go to having a coffee. But you listen to these things and it feels like it comes from an educated source. So you're like, you know, when you watch Game Changers on Netflix or like Fishspiracy or whatever the fuck it were called, or Don't Kill the Cows. Like
Seaspiracy.
Yeah.
Fishspiracy.
Fishspiracy. I couldn't remember, but there's all these, but they're like the super... I remember watching Game Changers and so we were doing the MMA podcast at the time and I remember lads coming into the gym then afterwards going, right, I'm going vegan because I've watched Game Changers and you're like, oh, fuck. But then I remember Seaspiracy. I watched Seaspiracy. I couldn't finish it because it felt so much like propaganda at that point. But there are like a lot of these movies and a lot of educational pieces out there to go pro-vegan, pro-whatever.
And especially with what we talk about all the time, influencer culture, right? If you like a person, odds are you're going to believe what they say, right? So when I tell you something on this podcast, right, don't believe me. Go out and find the scientific study which corroborates it, right? We're going to come on to that as well. There's a part about Jake Paul, I think, as well.
Yeah, that was
there's a tendency that if people say something and sound confident and they shout it loud enough, people just believe them, right? But the whole alkalizing, man, like if all you have to do is there's a Wikipedia page about like the alkaline diet, right?
Yeah.
And it cites, I think, 2 studies in the bibliography or whatever at the bottom, which have basically debunked it, and they've existed for like 5 years. So scientifically, it's not true. Like flat Earth, you cannot alkalize your body with food, right? So just pack it in, man.
I've not heard of that one, so maybe that's for the American audience. Like, you know, so next one was Jake Paul. He had a recent rant about milk causing cancer. So again, if you watch Game Changers on Netflix, there's a lot of dialogue in that from what I can recall about milk basically it just contains pus and like white blood cells and just like the nasty stuff that comes from a cow is what is in that. Adults, never mind it, like infants shouldn't have it, adults should not have it. Yeah. And that's long and short of it, like no spoilers, but like that's kind of it.
Yeah, no, I saw the Jake Paul video where he's talking with his look. I don't want to sit here and just bash Jake Paul for no, even though it's very tempting. He's talking to his brother and some guy, and they're talking about milk. And this guy that the Paul brothers are with is like, yeah, I love my glass of milk in the morning or milk and cookies at night. And they're like, bro, man, you still drinking milk? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you, man? It's so bad for you. And I'm like, what? And he goes on this rant, Jake Paul, about milk, saying that it causes cancer. Let me tell you right now, there is no scientific study which has proven any causation between the consumption of fucking cow milk and cancer, right? In fact, there's only one compelling study about milk which suggests that maybe, it's not conclusive, maybe it reduces your likelihood of getting colon cancer later in life, maybe. And that's the consumption of it, right? So if you drink milk, you might be at less risk. But Jake Paul sat there, with his gold watch on in his nice studio, whatever. He's like, don't drink milk, bro. And people will, I'm sure, believe it. There's nothing wrong with dairy milk. In fact, I don't mean dairy milk, the chocolate bar that Mike's eating right now. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, it can be really useful to a lot of kids, like, especially like when I first started doing videos and maybe I was a bit larger and people don't look at me now and think, oh, he goes to the gym, right? Yeah. But maybe back in the day, they did a bit more. And they would be like, oh, I'm a skinny kid and I really can't eat enough. What's a good way for me to, how do I get calories into, get bigger if you want to do that? And a good way is like if you drink whole milk, because if you think about it, protein, carbohydrate, fats, it's easy to consume because it's a liquid. There's nothing, don't go mental and drink 4 gallons of milk a day, but there's nothing wrong with milk. In fact, it's really good for you. It's got calcium in. Like, I don't know where people get these ideas.
It's like you said, I think it's a case of, it's said so confidently from various influencers online or whatever, even like in the fitness industry. So you'll see a lot of people pushing various diets as well as exercise. You're right, mate. For those that are listening, he's just
coffee in my beard.
He's just spilt coffee all down himself.
McDonald's.
Yeah, it gets pushed quite heavily. But like you said, if you are looking to put on weight, so I remember my grandma was unfortunately dying of cancer. She had a lot of whole milk or cream on like Weetabix with a sprinkling of sugar because of the limited amounts that she would eat. You're trying to pack as much calories in there as possible. So obviously, like, whole milk, cream, it packs a punch, a bit like peanut butter, calorie dense.
Yeah.
Bit of scran. But it does move on actually nicely to the carnivore diet. So I've seen a guy on TikTok, right? And he swears, he's very red. I think he's got high blood pressure.
Is this the guy that eats the raw? He eats raw like his liver and stuff.
Yeah, possibly the same guy.
And he's jacked.
Super jacked. So what he's missing? This is, you see this a lot in the fitness industry. He may well be on a carnivore diet, but he may also be on some anabolic substances or growth hormones. I'm not going to...
Josh said that, not me. But I get the feeling what's getting him in that kind of shape is probably not eating raw meat.
Yeah, I mean, you look at... I'm going to say strongmen. You look at strongmen, so we look at like Eddie Hall, and when he was doing a 500 kilo lift, and you look at Hafthor Johnson... Both those dudes are rated...
Johnson?
What's his name?
Hafthor Bjornsson.
Whatever the fuck his name is. Johnson. Where did I get Johnson from?
Boris Johnson is
Boris,
like an unholy Frankenstein of the two.
Hafthor Boris and Eddie Hall, they were considerably larger when lifting in competition than they are now as fighters. Again, and as an educated guess, I would say that they've come off some form of substances to help them gain such mass to be able to lift such... plates.
We might have to cut this part, man. We're getting into...
You don't have to confirm nor deny, but like...
Well, I think anyone with common sense knows that.
Yeah, we need to like... But this is the problem, kids, right? Like I remember when I was younger, I'd be watching strongmen, I'd be watching... like you might watch a bit of Olympia, you might watch bodybuilders, and you go, fucking... Like, if all I have to do, they're pushing this supplement, X protein, anabolic X protein, you 3 scoops of that a day, and you're going to be as big as Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. I think you've skipped ahead a little bit, but you're right.
Oh, sorry, was that...
No, it's all right. We're going to talk about it in the same conversation, but yeah, no, you're right in that a big part of where this whole problem comes that we have with weight management and everything, and the fitness industry is somebody trying to sell you a supplement while not telling you what chemicals they might be taking.
What extracurriculars may be in after the...
Yeah, but any of the names that we have thus far mentioned absolutely are natural, I'm sure.
Okay. Yep. Anyway, allegedly, people say that, don't they, to get themselves off the hook. So carnivore diet went on, but Joe Rogan, for example, the god of podcasts, he does carnivore January. So I don't know if you've seen him talk about that before on his podcast.
Is the carnivore diet, is that just where you eat, I guess you just eat meat?
Just eat meat. So only have, there's a lot of people that, he's got a lot of mates that do it year round. They'll only eat meats. They won't have sugars, carbohydrates. They'll just eat meat and I guess
that's
water and coffee.
That's just like a low carb thing, or like some evolution of the Atkins diet, which is what kind of brought this whole carbs are bad for you myth to the fore in the first place. But yeah, I mean, even that's just unhealthy on the opposite spectrum of, veganism, like, because then you're missing out all the, vegetables, fruit, all the other stuff that you need, which contains, vitamins, micronutrients, that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, moving on from this then, what you have put in the notes is why there's an obesity problem within the USA and the UK, and why people have difficulty losing weight or maintaining a healthy body weight. So what do you want to preach about that?
Yes, I suppose what we just talked about kind of comes nicely onto that point, right? Yeah. Because, I mean, I don't just mean exclusively in the UK and the USA. I'm sure there are other areas where it's a problem. But, yeah, I mean, obesity is the crisis of obesity is worse than it's ever been. And a huge contributing factor to that, or the two factors I think to me mostly are, first of all, people just don't understand how the human body works, right? Which is why I get questions asking me all the time how I can eat like I eat and not gain weight.
Yeah.
And I think it's how long is it? 20 years since I was at school, because I'm old. But as far as I'm aware,
a chalkboard then? The black and white.
I think we did still have some black and white boards. Yeah, we had mostly the whiteboards, but I think there were a few classrooms with actual blackboards in them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have like those desks that you open. We didn't use abacuses. Abaci? I don't want the plural of abacuses.
I've watched Flintstones. Did you carve it into like a bit of slate as well?
Prehistoric rock. But yeah, when I was at school, there was no syllabus which taught basic like energy, how you manage energy in the human body, and your like diet and exercise and stuff. And maybe you might have touched on it in those, what were those bullshit classes called, where you just kind of go to your group and you don't really learn anything, but you just kind of convene there at the beginning of the day. I don't know. It might be in the... I don't think it's in the curriculum now.
Right, okay.
And I've got like Lindsay's niece and nephew, both at primary school, right? And I've never heard them tell me about they were learning about nutrition at school. So that's one problem, because if they don't know, then when they have kids, those kids aren't going to know, and the cycle continues. The other problem is, as we've already briefly touched upon, the fitness industry, which has, remember, a vested interest for the most part, I'm not talking about personal trainers that are trying to help you. I'm talking about predominantly the supplement industry and people selling you diet plans with snazzy names like Super Shred, whatever. They have a vested interest in keeping you in the dark, right? Because if you know the truth about how you get in shape, they can't sell you some snazzy product or some supplement. Like, it's still legal for supplement companies to sell BCAAs, branched chain amino acids. They don't fucking do anything. You might as well go buy flour or something and start taking flour pills because they literally don't do anything. They've been debunked.
I never knew
time
that.
after time, and you'll still hear gym rats down the gym saying, "Oh yeah, if you're on a cut, bro, you should be taking your BCAAs,
drinking BCAAs
in the
while
morning,
you're training, or
before you go for your cardio. Otherwise, you're gonna be wasting away. But you're not gonna be wasting away, right? Because that's not how the human body works. So I think that's predominantly the problem.
Yeah.
Which would be quite easily. So I mentioned this last week. Actually, I don't know if that podcast is going to go up first.
Yeah,
but I said I tweeted Matt Hancock.
Yeah.
I literally said to the guy, I said, I knew he wasn't going to reply to me. I just thought it'd be funny. I said, look, I'll go roadshow around the country, right? And I will do a 1 hour class with every school you want to send me to. And this offer still stands, by the way. Or if there are any schools listening, I'll come and do a little talk for you on like a basic how nutrition works. And it doesn't have to be boring and it doesn't have to be long. It's a question of calories and movement, right? Which is condensed into, I don't know, like a half hour talk about how this should go. And this is you have to people have to take ownership of that responsibility for the rest of their lives, right? Not just go on crash diets every time someone comes around.
Yeah, I think to sort of shed a bit more light on that, I think the reason that we see a lot of stuff getting peddled is we live in a capitalist world, so marketing is the machine that we live on. Like, there'll be ads running before Adam's videos, there'll be ads running before this video.
Why'd you have to draw me out first?
Marketing, there's a lot of money in marketing, and it's in the best interest of all companies to try and in some way take calories in versus calories out and movement into some form of, we'll put it into a box and we can sell that product or item or supplement to a willing,
that's a great way of putting it,
customer. Like Weight Watchers, for example. I keep seeing a lot of Weight Watchers. I know a lot of people that have done Weight Watchers in my family, and it works for some, doesn't for others, because there's like free sin stuff, and you can eat as many potatoes as you want, which is totally untrue, because if you have as many potatoes as you want, you won't be in a calorie deficit. But then you've got people like James Corden peddling it. Like, James Corden's not the picture of health. Like, he's obese. He's been obese for a long time. He's lost a bit of weight since he was on Gavin and Stacey, but he's getting paid a fortune to be the face of Weight Watchers currently. So it's in his best interest to go, this is a really good product or service,
I don't think you take it with the, you can't, I mean, you can criticize people for selling out if you want, but I think just any claims that people make, as I've mentioned before, about a product, just to separate the fact that you might like this person, you might, have total faith in their integrity from what it is they are selling. That's the key thing. And you're right about Weight Watchers, because that just, the way it works is it's a product which is sold. And actually, I mean, they sell meals and stuff now, don't they? that they've made.
It's well grown,
which are low. I have no problem with the meals, right? Because oftentimes they're decent, ready meals that taste good and they're low in calories. But essentially, they've got a system which controls calories, and they might call it sins or whatever they do on Slimming World points. Yeah. All it is controlling your calories. You don't need a person to tell you how to do that. You just need common sense.
Well, whilst we're on marketing, don't get me wrong. So one thing I would say to that, to those that are listening, that might be struggling with dieting or whatever. Accountability is a massive thing. So, like, if you need a trainer or if that marketing thing of Weight Watchers works for you as an accountability group and it helps progress you, pay for it. Like, that's a service that's well paid for, in my opinion. If you'd rather spend your free cash on a group membership to whatever that will help you get, like, I'm all about investing in yourself. So if you feel that that's a good one, it's a good thing. I think. But on the influencers or celebrities selling stuff, I think it's quite well known that you don't do many sponsorship deals on your YouTube channel, of which you could quite easily, every video could have a sponsor. What have you had any weird offers? You don't have to call out the names, but could you tell us some of the supplements or products or whatever that could have been tried to peddle on your site?
Yeah, man. I wouldn't, like 2 days ago, actually. But I get, like, some of them I more commonly than not, I just don't reply. Just delete the email. Because I don't want to be. There's nothing wrong, by the way, with sponsored ad placements, right? The problem for me is if you sell out your integrity and exploit your subscriber base for your own monetary gain, which is absolutely not cricket, because those people are important to you, not to sound cheesy or corny. Don't sell them something that you wouldn't use yourself. But yeah, I get them all the time, and some are more kind of compelling than others. But more often than not, it's some bullshit product that people want me to sell. Like there was one, I don't even know what it was. It's called something like Oxy Shred or Super Shred or something. Fat burner. Like, don't even get me started on fat burners, right? But they're like, yeah, we love your content. You know, will you sell this product for us? You know, we'll pay you $5,000 or whatever to sell this in an ad at the beginning of your videos. And more often than not, I'll just delete it. Or if I'm feeling what's the
mischievous?
word? If I'm feeling polite, I'll say no thanks. You know, so they've got a bit of closure. They know not to come back to me. But if I am feeling mischievous, I'll say, look, lad, if it is indeed a lad. And I've done this before many times. I'll say, like, especially with fat burners, I'll say, you know, or you should know as much as I do, there are no supplements you can take which will elicit, or no legal supplements which aren't, you know, a PED, you know, a performance enhancer, which aren't a chemical that you can take, which will elicit fat loss on your body any more than a black coffee would, right? There are proven there are proven effects of caffeine, for example, in moderately elevating, you know, fat burn in your body. You could look them up, and they're not very compelling, and certainly they're not going to outdo, you know, the effects of it. Are maybe just eat 20 calories less a day or something like that. You know, it's minuscule, and the fact that people want you to sell that to unsuspecting people who are going to part with their hard-earned money because they believe what's it, and the supplement industry is so poorly regulated. Like, it's incumbent upon the regulator to prove that something on sale is not fit for consumption. Yeah. You can sell anything you want, and always look, if you are going to buy supplements, always look out for the phrase proprietary blend, because that means they've gone in the fucking bathtub at home and they put anything they like in there, and it sounds fancy. Oh, we got a special proprietary blend. It just means that you've got a couple of things and you've whipped them together with a bit of flour, and it just means that, you know, you can sell it and people think it's fancy. But yeah, I guess that you would be shocked to know how often I get offers like that. It's probably like bi-weekly at least. Yeah. Like every other week I'll get one asking me to sell like a fat burner or like stuff like BCAAs, all the shit that people like. Nobody's ever asked me to, for example, to sell creatine monohydrate, which is probably arguably one of the most studied sports supplements there is, and the only one really that's been proven with any degree of certainty to work, to do what it's increase performance the way it says it does. And creatine monohydrate is really cheap. Yeah. Which is why that's why supplement companies, if you go out, you buy creatine monohydrate, just to go on a bit of a rant, for like a month's supply, it costs you about £8, right? White powder. But then you get we got a special new creatine, which tastes like raspberry storm or some shit like that. And it costs like £40. And it's so much better. Nah, just get the monohydrate if you're going to take creatine. And it's been proven, so they can't really exploit it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I get asked to just sell stuff like that all the time. And the day I do that, man, just stick me in the ground. I can't think of anything worse. But people do it, you know, and I get that people got to make ends meet, but I think if you're selling something you know to be snake oil to people, I think...
Didn't you say that there were once like a brand deal going around where a bunch of influencers got approached to sell something?
Yeah.
They all like said, yeah, I'll do it, signed on the dotted line. But it was actually like a...
Yeah, I forget that. I'll tell the story real quick because it's actually quite interesting. You could probably look it up on Google because I'll get some of the things wrong because I don't remember it verbatim. But basically a guy had set up a fake supplement company to try and entrap influencers, you know, that sell... Dimfluencers, as you call them, to sell this supplement, right? To show how easy it is to just get people to sell whatever and put their name to it. And he'd put like this package together. Oh, we'll pay you like, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000. I don't know what the money was, right? Probably depends on who they were approaching. And all you have to do is sell this, do a couple of posts on Instagram, YouTube video on this fat loss supplement. And we'll send you all the material telling you what's in it and whatnot. So I said, no worries. And they'll put their post out and probably agree to be paid at a later point or whatever. And he'd actually put in the ingredients list something like arsenic or something which is literally poisonous. If you consume it, you will die. Just to see if they would check it to see what's in it and how the efficacy of this, how effective this supplement would be. And none of them checked it. So they were all prepared to sell you literal arsenic, something that would fucking kill you for the sake of money, right? And it's sad how common that is. And I'm not trying to make out Mother Teresa or anything. I'm not. But just be very wary of people advertising things on the internet. Because it's very easy to get paid to reach very large audiences in a way it's never been that easy before. So just be aware of it.
That's marketing for you, though, isn't it? That's true. Like it goes back to what I said 10 minutes ago. You know, it's all based around marketing and profits for shareholders. Like I'm down for that. That's fine. You know, like business is a business. You know, there's ways to market certain products up, but obviously you need to understand that. Like if it's a legit product and if it actually does what it says on the tin, or they're actually trying to sell you poison, it's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying.
Who was the guy you were talking about before we came in? That influencer you said that was
it was good.
Yeah.
So a guy called James Smith.
Reckon we could get him on?
He's currently
is he massive now?
He is massive, yeah, not like massive, but yeah, he's a big British influencer. So he's called James Smith PT.
He swears a lot, right?
He swears a lot, but he's very famous for like doing rants about. He'll basically do like an Instagram reel or a video, and he'll say, lean muscle building doesn't exist, or fasted cardio doesn't exist, or X, Y, and Z. He did one recently, which is slightly political but very true, where he did a rant about Boris Johnson made a public statement and basically said you should get the vaccine because it's quicker and easier than losing weight, even though like if you're a fitter and healthy person.
I saw that.
Yeah, if you're a fit and healthy person, the chances are of getting seriously ill from coronavirus is highly unlikely compared to if you were obese. So he said, I'm not going pro or against vaccines, but to negate the fact that people should not live a healthy lifestyle as the leader of Britain.
Yeah, I remember what he said. He said something like, make it your New Year's resolution, forget dieting, get the vaccine.
Absolutely.
Which I mean, it was such a poor choice, such a clumsy thing to say for a prime minister.
It's dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah. But, you know, he's that guy. I don't follow everything, but from time to time, people tag me in what he's doing and what he's saying. And it's nice to see, you know, somebody that's just not...
Don't get me wrong, that dude's built an empire. Like he does, he's got an app now and a crew of personal trainers. My sister's bought into it. I think it's like 40 quid a month. So it's whatever floats your boat. You know, like I said, if you want to invest your money into having a virtual personal trainer, one of his team telling you like what, you know, an app that tells you meal prep ideas. So the macronutrients of various meals, exercises that you can do, you can check them off, you check in weekly. Like I'm not pushing his product. I think it's expensive, but it's value is in the eyes of the consumer. You know, if my sister thinks that's a good investment of £40 and it gets her to her goal, you know, that's fair cop. So I think him putting out the positive message, that's brought a lot of people behind him to go, actually, this is how we should be sort of educated.
I think he was part of that whole, like, there was I guess a wave of people on you know, like public, what's the word? People in the public eye who have some kind of level of integrity, who brought to the fore the fact that flexible dieting, which is what people call it these days, is the way forward, right? Yeah. It's really not that complicated, you know. And what they're trying to sell you is, again, I don't know what this guy's selling, or what his program is. But there are people out. I'm not saying everyone in the fitness industry is trying to con you. I'm saying a lot of people are. But this guy, maybe he's got like, if you're going to pay a person, if he's got like a
good product,
a scientifically based product or service which could do you, he'd price it how he likes, man.
Absolutely,
like,
yeah.
And there are people out there, like if I started doing something like that, I mean, I would do it with integrity, and I think. There'll be some value in that for some people,
but that's why I think, I mean, like him as an example, I think that's one thing he leads with is value and integrity of the science. So he'll always lead with the science. It's the base, it's fundamentals. Like no matter which way you skin it, calories in versus calories out. You know, you move more, you burn more calories, means you can consume more, but still be in a deficit. If you're in a deficit, you lose weight. Write that down. That's it. Like that
was the 1 minute nugget. It wasn't even 1 minute. That was the 10-second nugget. Right.
That's it. But he's also one that'll say, don't sit on a fucking treadmill for 40 minutes a day because it's boring. You know, it's boring. Like, do some resistance movement. You might enjoy it. You know, like lift some weights. You know, do a deadlift. Like, he'll promote that rather than saying get on a treadmill for an hour a day and you'll burn 400 calories. Yeah. So yeah, consider this your invite. He's also a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He practices the gentle art of Jiu-Jitsu. So
I like purple. Is that a good one?
It's pretty. That's like mid tier. Like you're
not black though. It's before like black. Do you get black belts in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. He goes white, blue, purple, brown, black. So he's like middle of the pack.
Why do they need to ditch brown? That's not a colour that people want to wear. Just in general.
Yeah, but when you've got a brown belt, you're very close to black.
Yeah, but it's a naff colour. Could they not change that to like I don't know, blood red or something?
I'm pretty sure like it can't just be changed now after.
I'm just saying brown's like the only reason you wear brown in my eyes is to make your teeth look white. That's the only reason I'd ever wear brown.
But yeah, he would be an awesome guest. I know he's currently. I do follow him on Instagram.
Scott James, Jimbo, come on. Look how fancy the studio is. Come on the podcast.
Oh, we could do it virtually. Like he's in Australia at the moment. So
that's nice.
He's in Down Under, so we might have to. We'll see. It'd be nice. It'd be a nice guest. We do a bit more education on the whole fitness industry. And
Josh is putting a pack together to invite some guests on this. So hopefully some.
Yeah, because your blue tick ain't working. Shit.
No, we've only had my takeaway and Mrs. Beard so far. What a poor cast of guests. No, I'm joking.
You know it's good to shit when Sister Beard sat there.
She wants to come on actually, and people said, I'm like, no. Well, maybe in time, but we need some real guests first.
I think eventually we should definitely get her on.
If we get Mike in first, people will be wondering like how sexy Mike is. Let's get him on camera.
Right, so we reminded me of last week's episode when you took piss out of my baby's massive head, and he was like talking about his baby pictures. Like, I can't talk, mate. Like, my head is massive. His head is massive now, but when he was a kid, even bigger.
Yeah, it's definitely shrunk as the years have actually gone on.
His body's got more in proportion. Right, so one thing that's like came up time and time again, give an example of your working week, Mr. Beard. Your working week, eating food, what does your days look like? You know, like...
Yeah, I'll address this real quick.
Preach, brother.
It's not interesting, right? And maybe Mike can throw up. I'll give Mike a really crudely drawn graphic, which I use all the time, which is like a basic little line graph to show people an average week for me, right?
Yeah.
So that you can visualize how I don't get fat, basically, right? So people always ask me that. And it's a really simple mathematical equation. So I know step one of getting in shape or losing fat or whatever you want it to be should be, you know how many calories you need at your current activity level to stay in shape. To stay at the same weight. And you can work that out by trial and error. Just get weighed every morning. If you're eating the same amount of food, roughly, it's the same number of calories every day, and you're getting weighed. If your weight's going up, you're eating too much. If your weight's going down, you're eating too little. And you can use like a MyFitnessPal. I know a lot of people don't do it. It's still considered weird to track your food intake, but I mean that's why there are fuel gauges on petrol, on cars, so you know how much petrol to put in it. So yeah, MyFitnessPal is really easy, or any of the tracking apps. Once you've got how much you need, so I need about 3,000 calories a day, maybe a shade less these days.
That's mad, that, for your size. Not to set a piss out you being small again, but that seems like a lot of calories to maintain your weight.
I mean, the guidelines are really, really vague, aren't they? Though,
an adult is 2,500.
2,500 calories. That's gonna be
an adult male, and then an adult female is like 2,200.
Yeah,
or something. Yeah.
I mean, like that could vary wildly.
Absolutely,
like if you've got an Olympic athlete out there, he's going to be in. There was the famous Michael Phelps diet, which I think they debunked years later, but it turned out he was still eating like 8,000 calories a day. So I mean, he was absolutely shredded because he's in a fucking pool all day swimming, right? Yeah. I'm not quite at that level, right? But I do resistance training even though I'm skinny, right? What mass is on my body is predominantly, there's not a great deal of fat, as Josh attested to earlier. And I walk a lot. Like I walk like a lot every day. Like I walk 5. I don't like.
Can you can you break down your resistance training? So like a week of 7 days in a week. What does your movement look like in the gym before we start talking about walking?
All right, okay, cool. But it's really boring. That's why I didn't want to get into it. It's just basically
people will be well interested. A
lot of people ask me. They'll be like, I do a training video. It's not me. Just really boring compound movements. It'll be the number of times in a week I train varies. Usually it's 5 days, sometimes 4, depending on my training block. Like if I'm doing like a real, if I'm going for like some PRs, right? So if I'm trying to like a 1 rep max or something on a particular lift for whatever reason, I might train 4 times that week. So the volume's reduced, so your performance is higher because you're going for like 1 max set rather than 2 or 3, whatever. And it'll be basic compound movements with a barbell. Since COVID, right? I don't even go to the gym anymore. I've got my home gym, which is a half power rack in my garage at home, with an Olympic bar, about 160 kilos worth of weights, which is going to be enough for anything I need to do apart from maybe a deadlift. And I haven't done conventional deadlift in ages because you don't necessarily need to do it. Yep. But it'll be a standing military press, shoulder press, weighted chin ups, bench, incline bench. Squat, some variation of a deadlift, some kind of hip hinge, like maybe a Romanian deadlift or something like that.
Yep.
Your basics, which should be in any strength training program. And it's not like I'm not coming out of the gym sweating, it's a really kind of smart, in my mind, scientific approach to training, because I don't train to be massive, and I don't train to look a certain way. I train to be healthy and as pound for pound strong as I can be. I'm not saying I'm like a strong dude or anything, but relative to my body weight, I just want to be practically strong and healthy. Yeah. Right? And it's a byproduct of that I don't look like shit, basically, right? So I'm in reasonably good shape.
Yep.
But because of that, if you resistance train, if you have more muscle mass than the average person, let's say Mike, walking the street, then of course I'm going to need to consume more calories to stay the same weight, right?
Yeah.
Than say Mike would.
Yeah.
And you add to that your activity level. If I like back in the day when there was a point in my life when I was eating like 3,700 calories a day when I was larger and I was playing football 4 times a week, and I was in the gym every 6 days a week. So that changed, but for me, it's probably a bit less, maybe 2,800 a day.
Yeah. Do you do isolated movements like bicep curl dips? Like, do you do isolated movements for certain muscle groups?
Yeah. So bicep curls are an isolation movement. Dips aren't. But
I meant more like the tricep.
Yeah, I'll do that. That's just accessory work to me. So if you have a weak link in a compound movement, that might be something that's like a bicep curl. But I don't do a great deal of like probably one of my. If people look at me, they might think, oh. With a t-shirt on, they might think, "Oh, this guy's curling all." Not that I have massive arms, but the one area of me that looks reasonably developed, I barely curl at all. Like it's mostly from doing chin-ups, and pull-ups.
Do you split your week in like a simplified way to break down your compound movements could be like push, pull, legs?
Yeah,
that could be a good split. To rotate and then do your accessory movements on top of that. Yeah. So your push would be a chest bench press, incline chest, I guess, and then you could work on your triceps because that would be in a push movement, whether on a cable or a dip.
Yeah, I mean, I think for most people, especially if you're getting started out, if you're a rookie, you could do even like just full body training. Like a lot of old school, famous bodybuilders and whatnot would train 3 times a week.
Full body.
Right. But I think these days, if people know with modern science, if you get to a certain level, that you probably should be splitting your training up just into, but any training is better than nothing. Like I'm talking here not to, bodybuilders and professional athletes were essentially doing this for the sake of people that maybe are a bit tentative to get into it and they don't live the lifestyle. So for people like that, just move, man. Just do some kind of exercise, and you should probably, even though it is to some people intimidating, do some kind of resistance training. Not because you're going to get a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't want to get too bulky," or "I don't want to be in that environment." I get that, but resistance. I mean, look at me, for God's sake, man. I spend a lot of time. Not a lot of time, but some effort training, right? And I've been doing it a long time. And most people probably can't even tell that I train, to look at me. There's nothing special about it, but I'm far healthier probably than a person, or certainly than a person that doesn't train it. I mean, I'll have better posture and things like that. And it'll serve me well with connective tissue and all that into older age. Like my grandma, man, her knees are fucked. And I'm sure most old people are. But a big part of that is the fact that when my grandma was younger, they couldn't train, they didn't know how to train, So
I think another thing you said, like training smart with longevity, would be. I know you said you do attempt sometimes to go for 1 rep max, as if you are training for a certain whatever you're trying to do that's your personal thing. But I know I've heard Rogan talk about it on his podcast where why don't train every day to 100% because you will be written off for a couple of days afterwards with DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. We've all had it where you go back and do chest for the first time and you're like, somebody flicks you on the chest and it's absolute agony. Whereas like if you'd have gone, let's say you can chest press a 30 kilo dumbbell in each arm. If you'd done 20 and just repped out got the movement isolated nicely, but not pushed it too far, you could then train the next day. And like, I think that goes back to that consistency, doesn't it? I
mean, those are all like as well advanced techniques. There's a point where you if you're chasing performance, so like getting stronger, you can't just be smart. It's not just, there's this I think common theme in amongst exercise. It's like, like blood, sweat and tears, and you got to train till you don't. Like I barely even leave the gym when I train in the morning with the sweat on.
Yeah.
Barely ever, and even that extends to cardio as well. You don't have to be doing HIIT training. I fucking hate high intensity interval training. That's why I walk for a long, long time.
Yeah, so let's move on to that then, because that's what I'm going to ask you next was what is your, I guess, cardio? What's your...
I mean, I don't even... to me, I don't call it cardio. Right. I hate even the term, because you should just do some kind of movement, something which gets you out of the house and gets you exposed to some sunlight, a bit of vitamin D.
Right.
It's kind of weird that I'm so pale, actually, given that I spend enough time out. But anyway... yeah, and it's something that isn't prohibitive to you, right? So like if somebody told me I have to do like sprints, hill sprints or something like really strenuous every day of the week or like 4 times a week, I wouldn't do it because I wouldn't want to do it, right?
Yeah,
but there's more way with cardiovascular exercise, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? So it might be for you, like if you don't have much time in the day, you work shifts or whatever, or like say to me, I've only got half an hour to train a day. All right, well then maybe it's better for you to do like some kind of circuit or something like that. It's better than nothing.
Get it in, yeah.
So then that might appeal to some people. 10 minutes of HIIT training, to me, what appeals to me is going out, putting my headphones on, enjoying some music, and walking around somewhere reasonably scenic, like down the river or whatever, go for a long walk, get a bit of a sweat on. And, you know, that for heart health, that's really all you need to do, you know. If you're training for something more specific, like fitness in a sport, like if I want to start playing football again, obviously you're going to have to put, but I don't mind that. Like when you play a sport, there's some reason behind the output, right? So if you're knackered, there's a reason for it. I can't think of anything worse than getting on a treadmill and just sprinting for, you know, 15 minutes.
No, I agree with that.
But yeah, you don't have to, you know, you really don't have to. Just move a bit. The problem with most people is it's completely sedentary. So we mentioned 2,500 calories a day. That's going to be too much for some adults because, especially now with working at home, you wake up in the morning. Like I've seen Lynn's, right? I've seen some days wake up in the morning, work the morning from bed. I should be getting in trouble with the bosses,
we'll
right?
bleep that out.
Working from the bed, or at the most getting up, and even if you work from the office, drive to the office, park at the office, getting the lift up to the floor you're on, office all day, home, Netflix, bed.
Yeah, no.
Where's the output? Really, very little. So just move a bit, man. And
move a bit more. That's
yeah. We've known that since antiquity, though. Look at all those ancient Greek statues that are in great shape. Yeah. They know how to do it. It's not complicated. Just have some common sense. And if you want to get back to what my normal week looks like.
1 second, hold that. Do you want to go get yourself a charger?
You look at?
All right, so with a quick camera malfunction there. But carry on what you were saying there, Mr. Adam.
I need to top up my coffees. So what I was going to say, I can't remember where I left off, but what I was going to say is, therefore, given everything I just said before we cut, that can help explain when people say, how he eats, you know. First of all, remember that you see me eat for 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes of a 168-hour-long week, right? A lot of people that have been around for a long time and watch the videos from way back when will know that I only eat one meal a day, so I spend a lot of time fasting, at least 24 hours a day. I eat one meal a day, right? And the 5 days of the week that I'm not filming, I'm in a, you know, I don't say painful, but I'm in a severe calorie deficit, right, to account for the overeating that I've done. And again, if Mike can put this up on screen, not right now, Mike, I'm just after, maybe in the edit or whatever. There's a crudely drawn graph that I mentioned before that I use a lot when people ask me on social media. And the reason we got into this in the first place, I was saying I eat 3,000 calories a day, right? It's 2,800, 3,000, but let's say 3,000 for the sake of it. So 3,000 calories, rather than thinking of, it's handy to compartmentalize, right? And think of, I can eat 3,000 a day because a day is your normal circadian cycle. But I think of it more like a weekly thing, right? So if I can eat 3,000 a day, or I need 3,000 a day to stay the same weight, at the same activity level, that's 21,000 a week. So let's say, for example, this is an extreme example. Let's say on Monday I shoot a video which is 10,000 calories. And on Thursday I know I'm going to film a video which is maybe in a restaurant, which are typically lower in calories. Maybe it's, I don't know, 6,000. Could be as little as 4,000 or something like that. But let's say it's 6,000. That's 16,000 calories, right? That'll be over 2 days of a 7-day week, leaving me with 5 days to eat how much?
15,000? 5,000?
That's appalling mathematics.
10,000?
Well, 5,000, yeah, but that's 1,000 a day, right?
I took my socks off.
Good Lord.
Sorry, yeah, carry on.
You didn't used to be a Navy engineer.
Mate, I did, yeah.
I'm sure you need
to know advanced mathematics. You know that? I think I started to fall asleep when you were telling me some numbers then.
I'm sure people are going to get bored. But for the sake of me never having to repeat this ever again on this podcast, so that would leave 5 days, 1,000 calories a day, which is not pleasant. But there's no way in that scenario. I've eaten 21,000 calories a week, whether I do it 3,000 calories every day for 7 days, or I do it the way I just mentioned, 10,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 6,000, 1,000, 1,000. If I do it that way, there is no surplus, right? Yeah. You could talk about the minutiae, you could talk about the thermic effect of food, your body's desire to maintain homeostasis and the little kind of micromanaging things, right? But for the sake of the average person, there's no point in discussing that. You can't really measure them. It comes down to a basic mathematical thermodynamic equation. There is no surplus of energy to create fat on my body to make me fat, right? The only hard part of that is under eating for 5 days, right? And some days it might be more than that. I remember I've come back from trips before where I've been filming too much, and I remember at LA back in 2019, I'd done 5 videos in 5 days. I didn't eat for 3 days, I think nearly, just less than 3 days. I didn't eat anything, right? And that's just it's what I have to do for a living, right? I always know what I have to do, but it's
What
a
you
life
choose
I've
to do,
and I'm not recommending this, right? I'm not saying it's certainly not optimal, especially when you come back to any kind of performance, physical or mental, right? It's not ideal, but it's an extreme which will be for some part of my life, not all of my life. But what you can do is you can learn from that. This is what I was going to come on to, because if I can do that, right, and you're the kind of person that needs on a Saturday or Friday or whatever to go out for a few beers, have a curry at the end of the night or whatever, and you're going to be in a surplus for maybe a Friday and a Saturday, just take it easy for the other 5 days of the week, you know. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be as extreme as me. If I'm giving you this example, this shows you that it's possible at a much less extreme level, right? Yeah,
like a working example. Like Mike just said it to me. Then you said it when you came in this morning. You looked at my lunch, didn't you? And like, not like it's fucking bro lifting or anything. It's just very, very easy to make. Like, so just here's another one.
Chicken and rice.
Yeah, but the cost of buying lunch. So like, if I go to Morrison's or I go to Greg's, like, let's say it's going to cost me on average £5 a day to eat, and over a 5-day week is 25 quid. To buy a kilogram of chicken and some rice and some frozen peas or frozen carrots, fucking pennies, whatever.
Cheaper, yeah.
I can cook that and I literally cook it on a Sunday, Tupperware it up like it's not sexy. I don't mind eating the same stuff every day either.
Tupperware.
But like, stick it in the microwave. It's better than walking and going and getting a steak bake in it.
Yeah, true.
It's like from you break down your macros. I literally know the amount of calories, the amount of protein, the amount of carbohydrates. I can look at that and go, right, there's 600 calories there. But Mike, like, how do you're not going to be starving after that? And like, that'd be my first meal of the day. But I really enjoy an evening meal at home with my missus. And I know you don't, like, with your job, you don't eat with Lindsay. You don't have that. It's an old school thing to sit down at a table, eat a meal. On an evening, we do that. So I know that on an evening, I'll eat more calories. I'll have my main meal of the day is there, because I could not be as extreme as one meal on an evening.
Yeah.
So my way of breaking down my daily calories is smallish. It's substantial.
It works for your lifestyle.
Yeah. Because again, like most of the time, I'm sat at a computer or whatever. You know, you've just got to sort of roll with it. So yeah, in its most basic terms, I guess if you live in a regular life, you're not a competitive eater. Look at how big your lunch is or your evening meal, or you might be having that takeaway on a Sunday. And this is what any sort of personal trainer or nutritionist would tell you. They'd say, like, go for it, man. Like, if you're going to have big 3-course Nando's on a Saturday that could be 2,000 calories and you want that slice of cheesecake, you know, crack on. And if you might be over by that meal by 500 calories, just knock them off over the 7 days. So be 100 calories you get where I'm going with this. Knock 100 off each of the day. And be somewhat...
have some common sense about it.
Yeah, somewhat...
Just man, I think the fact of the matter is, right, people look at diets like it's a temporary fix. Don't look at it like that.
Yeah.
Realize that it's your life's responsibility to manage your food intake, right, and your energy balance. And that doesn't have to be really boring. People think they got to eat chicken and rice, like you just said. It doesn't have to be, right? The key factor is, we could go into macronutrients. You need certain amounts of protein, etc., etc. All right, but the fact of the matter is, for the average person, just eat the amount of calories you need, right? And make sure you're eating good, whole, nutrient-dense food, right? And there's nothing wrong with having a Five Guys. The term junk food.
Yeah.
What's junk about Five Guys? It's beef and it's cheese. And all right, it's not like it might
delicious.
It might not be the leanest thing you've ever eaten.
Yeah.
But if you want that Five Guys, go have it. Just don't eat it every day.
Yeah.
And don't eat it 4 times every day, you know?
Yeah. Last thing before we move, we've got a bunch of questions from the audience that we're going to move on to. One thing that I would say that I know from myself and my sort of working life, and the difference between my physical and mental health from controlling what I eat, as far as like having a somewhat balanced diet and still enjoying the nice things in life, but physically training, like if I don't train pretty much daily, like I mentally feel it more than physically, like not in a sense like I'm not going to go on like this massive downward spiral, but like just being able to get up and move first thing is almost like I've won the day, like attack the day, do a bit of work. Genuinely, like in my head, if I can,
that's like entrepreneur saying
no, but like for me, like everyone's different out there, but like if I can know that I've got that in, I'm not one that can go to the gym on an evening, 6 o'clock, I've done a full day's work. You know, last thing I want to do is try and go to the gym when everybody else is there, not get home till 7 o'clock. Like I prefer to go in the morning, but like I feel much better because another is I tend to drink a lot of water whilst at the gym. Yep. One thing that a lot of people don't do is drink a lot of water. You know, they'll drink coffee, they'll drink fizzy pop, if you manage to drink 2 liters of water a day, you'd feel like
you'd be a new man.
You'll be a new man.
Yeah.
Right, questions from the audience.
Now we got some FAQs.
Yeah. So
But how many of them are actually about diet? But it's going to be like, what's your favorite food or something like that?
let's.
I did retweet the tweet and I said, ask about diet stuff, and I thought a lot of people would be raising some interesting questions.
Right, so on Twitter, at ChefG931 has asked, Mr. Beard, how do you cope with hunger when you fast before a challenge? Are you still eating little 5 days a week, which we just spoke about? And how do you maintain your stomach capacity?
That's really just. I mean, it's a good question. Thanks. Was it Chef G?
Chef G. Thanks,
Chef G. That's just a question of willpower. It's really nothing more than that. And some people, I don't want to say some people have it, some don't. But like one thing I think I have in spades more than anyone I actually personally closely know, is willpower and self-control. So it's just a fact of the matter. If I don't do this, either A, I get fat and really unhealthy, or B, I just stop making videos, and I love making videos right now. And in terms of stomach capacity, that's really just the thing that back in the day, like I built most of it by doing like huge meals once a day, which were really low in high volume, low calories. So that's another good kind of diet tip, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at 100 grams of lettuce, there's 7 calories in that. So you could literally like 3 kilos of lettuce, and it would barely be,
In cucumber like that, like if you eat a cucumber, you actually burn more calories than what you consume. It's just basically water.
Like everyone like anyone in the major league eating top 20, it just smashes through lettuce, cute watermelon, things that is low in calories.
Yeah.
Nutritious, but like high in volume. And I used to do one meal a day, and that's how I never really intended on getting into quotes competitive eating, but it made my stomach capacity obviously larger than normal because I would eat one large meal a day, and it would get progressively larger. So
that also answers Nick Slater at Nick Not Nicky. She's asked, do you get hungry on those days, and if so, how do you cope? Does it bother you, or do you just learn to ignore it? But the coping, I want to just on that one specifically, is like the coping.
Yeah.
You drink coffee, you drink water. Does that actually like sort of put it at ease ever slightly, the hunger?
Yeah, that helps. I wouldn't want to go like 24 hours without water. That's just, you would feel awful, right? But of course, water is calorie free, thankfully. And black coffee pretty much is...
Coffee.
Yeah, coffee is essentially calorie free. It's a trace amount of calories in there, but not enough to take you out of a fasted state, if that's how you want to put it. And to me, hunger is like a paper cut or a headache. Hunger is my body telling me it's time to eat.
Yeah.
But if I ignore that, I'm not going to die. Nothing bad's going to happen. The worst that's going to happen is I might feel a little lightheaded, which is why, for example, fasting is not for everyone. Like if my mum goes an hour without food, she's like, oh, I expire. She gets like really, she starts to feel lightheaded and starts complaining. For me, that's not, obviously, I don't make good, like right now, I'm actually surprisingly energetic.
You are, yeah.
Given that I've not eaten for 29 hours now. That's over time. If you want to try fasting, try it out because it's cool for psychologically controlling.
There's an app. There is an app that I know that a lot of fighters use where it's in its simplest form. It's like a stop and start. But you press start and it'll obviously give you notifications. You've done 7 hours. You've done 12 hours. I guess that's a visual representation of how far have I come. And I think it gives you like stats like at this point your body's doing this, or you've met the same goals as 3,000 other people that have fasted for 17 hours. So there are apps out there.
Fasting's just quickly is as well. It's not like a magic bullet, but if like me, you love to eat. Like I couldn't do that whole, you see in Men's Health, eat every 2 hours to keep your metabolism burning and stuff. Couldn't do that because you never eat enough that you're satisfied. Satiety is like out the window. I'd rather eat once a day and smash it, So even if I'm not eating much, it still feels like it's a reasonable amount of food.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
No, you're right. Ryan Drinkwater, this dude like tags us all the time.
I like that name as well.
When's the next podcast coming out? It does like
it's like a name which gives you good advice.
Ryan
Drinkwater.
How long after a 50,000 calorie? I think he's put too many O's there. 50,000 calorie challenge does it take you to lose weight you put on? We've definitely covered this, but I'll let you answer it anyway.
I don't think he has put any. He's probably referring to one of my like really early. Like I don't go in for those like calorie challenges on YouTube. Kind of they were dumb in the first place, I think, but they were entertaining. But then it just kind of jumped the shark a bit, and like it got everyone was doing them, and that's the kind of thing that could do you harm. I think in the long run because they're really punishing. But there's no way to answer that really. It depends on your activity level. Depends on your own metabolic rate, how much you not eat, how much you're eating after the fact that you've done that many calories. Suffice to say that if you're going to eat that much food, I think that was probably like 50,000 in 50 hours. I think I did that. Like,
yeah. I think I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds fun, but it's not fun. And thereafter, some of the weight you're going to gain a lot of weight, right? A lot of it's going to be transient, like we discussed earlier on. Excess sodium and all that.
Yeah.
But you are going to gain some fat. If you don't have body dysmorphia or something like that, or an eating disorder, you're going to be comfortable with that because you know that, okay, for the next 2 weeks I'm going to be really reasonably strict with my diet and stuff, under eat to balance it out. But I couldn't tell you an amount of time, a sufficiently long time though, a couple of weeks probably before you're back to normal. On
Instagram, Lima Oscar Whiskey has asked, how do you ensure adequate nutrition intake since you eat little around your challenges? Because obviously the macro breakdown of your challenges, who fucking knows really? But then obviously your other meals.
Well, the broad spectrum macronutrients, so carbohydrates, dietary fat, protein. I mean, if you've my week it gets complicated. But if let's say yesterday I ate, or today I ate. Let's say today I ate, I don't know, fucking 76-ounce steak or something.
Yep.
Protein turnover in the human body doesn't really work this way, but it's not going to be emptied immediately like a normal sized meal. So I'm not going to sit there the day after and think, I really need lots of protein today. I'm adequately provided for. And if you don't have sufficient protein for one day, sporadically, or 2 days, it's not going to impact you, especially if you're not some kind of competitive bodybuilder or strength athlete or something. And for me, it's more of a concern in terms of the types of food that I'm eating on my days off. So I make sure I'm eating, fruits, vegetables, things that are really important. And you don't need a sufficient amount, you don't need a huge amount of them to have the associated health benefits of eating vegetables. A portion of blueberries, which I eat all the time, 40 calories. Portion of raspberries, 40 calories. Banana, 80 calories. Strawberries, broccoli, and so on and so forth. You don't need a great deal. The amount of them that you need to eat to get the health benefits is small relative to the caloric content of that food. So I just with common sense, really. It's not that hard, even if I'm eating 1,000 calories.
You just reminded me, I think, you mentioned portion sizes there, which obviously that we could have obviously talked for another 20 minutes about that, but a lot of people get that wrong, I think, with certain food groups. Because especially like if you're going to go natural, so you're going to have cashew nuts, you could nail half a bag of cashew nuts. They're expensive, but you could nail half a bag of cashew nuts. But in that half a bag, you've probably had 6 portions. They're so calorie dense. That and peanut butter is so calorie dense that people think they might be having, on the back of it, they might be having the 50 calories, which is for like 4 cashew nuts, when really they've nailed like 25, which is obviously you're then into a surplus of calories. So I think it's worth noting, look at the actual portion size of.
I'm always I weigh my food every day,
Yeah.
Because, and if not, I'm good at eyeballing it. But yeah, I mean, if you just think you're eating, this was another thing, just eat healthy foods, you can eat as much as you like. Well, not so healthy, but if you eat, like Josh says, a bag of them, there's going to be like 1,000 calories in that, easy,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's.
Isaac Wilson, most beard can bench. What's your 1 rep max? If people want to know this, some bro science.
Right now, that's a funny one. I could tell you some, they're not really that impressive, but right now, I've not done flat bench for ages. I've been doing mostly incline, but I think if I had to right now, it'd probably be about 110 kilos for a rep. But bear in mind that I weigh like 153 pounds right now. So that's still good.
That's like 70 kilos, isn't it? So that's 2.2 pounds to a kilo. Yeah, 70 kilos.
So as a strength, people get carried away, especially with like all these gym rats and stuff on Instagram. They'll see these numbers and they'll be like, well, that's not strong. Like, don't let people tell you you're not strong, right? If you can bench 1.5 times your body weight, pretty much, or even 1.25, you're reasonably strong. Probably my best, or the one that I think often sets people apart is if you can, like my military standing overhead press is 70 kilos, which is based on my body weight for 1 rep. And if anyone tells you that you're not strong and you can, lift your own body weight over your head with an Olympic bar, you're never going to need to be strong. When do you need to be stronger than that? But yeah, benches. I think benches are stupid. Not that I want to call a person stupid, but I think it's not the most useful indicator of strength. For me, it's overhead press and maybe something like a deadlift.
Yeah,
something like that.
I've got abnormally long arms. Like I think I'm, if we look at the evolution scale, I think I'm like a few back where my arms actually drag on the floor. So like bench press is not, it's not good for me. I could deadlift, bench press, no good. But obviously you being a little stumpy fella, you'll have a good bench on you.
I'm better actually at pulling motions, not necessarily deadlift. My biggest dead was 175 kilos at body weight of 68 kilos, which is quite good. Like pound for pound, that's
Yeah.
But I'm better. Probably chin up's my favorite thing to do. I could do those like all day long. I keep wanting to do. You see those like challenges where you like sit, can you hang for a minute? I'm like, I could. That wouldn't even be hard. I don't think.
You need to go.
Because I'm little. I'm tiny.
That went
that's
viral,
why.
didn't it? Last year, there were a dude in London that was just like scamming folks. You remember seeing that? I think the bar actually starts to spin after like. You get to hang for a minute, but after 40 seconds, the bar starts to turn. And then the one where a guy got like to 59 seconds, the guy went and booted him. You know, the guy that owns it. The guy was going to win 100 quid. I remember that going viral. There's a bunch more questions, but we've already answered them all. So I don't want to read. Cool. I don't want to go over them again. But you know, our cheat days are advisable. We've gone over that. What are your views on fasting? What are the health benefits of fasting? It's all the stuff we've already spoke about. So rather than,
I think there was the only one I think I'd say is there was. I know I saw somebody ask a question about meal timing, which we have kind of touched on.
Yeah.
Said is meal timing important? Like if you're eating every 2 hours or if you're eating one meal a day. Largely no. For the sake of like your body composition, like if you eat 2,000 calories a day as one meal or multiple meals, it's going to make no difference. What it will make a difference to is psychologically how you feel. You might get angry if not eating. And performance. So you'd never like go a full day, wake up in the morning 6 o'clock, not eat all day, then go train at 5 o'clock or whatever on an empty stomach. That would be suboptimal at best, catastrophic at worst. But yeah, that was another one I just noticed, and I think meal timing. I think that's because you used to get those men's health. I'm ragging on men's health. Fuck men's health. They used to say, it's stoking your metabolism by eating every 2 hours. It's just bullshit, man. There's no metabolic variance really. If you do that, it's just a psychological thing. Can you handle fasting or going without food for a long time?
You're an educated dude, man. This is why it's good. You take
interest me. That's all it is.
But you're professional in your profession. You've keeping yourself in good nick. You've educated yourself on longevity. Yes, it bins it. For a bit of fun though, what we have, obviously we spoke at the beginning about sort of various vegan diets, and we figured in the spirit of Veganuary.
That's a lazy portmanteau, that isn't it? Vegan and January. Vegan. It doesn't even sound like catchy.
And the fact that people enjoyed watching us eat food. We're going to try McDonald's vegan option.
I think that you call it McDonald's. Scottish McDonald's.
I don't know.
McDonald's. We are going to try.
They're not Scottish, are they?
No, but you call it McDonald's. Like there's an A in there. There's no A in there. McDonald's.
Okay, sorry. McDonald's vegan, and we'll also give you the macronutrient breakdown of said item.
Is that that's fancy?
All right, so in front of us we've got the McPlant. You picked these up on the way in. Vegan junk food, I give you.
Yeah, I think the biggest tragedy about these is they missed out the opportunity to like collaborate with Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. That's why I've got a Led Zeppelin song in my head. I've had like "Fool in the Rain" in my head like all morning. John Bonham, what drummer? But they could have called this the McRobert Plant. It's just me. It's like an age thing.
Just you. I think the biggest, so like the whole vegan movement, right? There's that Leon, you went, didn't you, before Christmas? There's that Leon up the road there. The whole vegan movement, people are like, I want to go vegan, but they're not actually like eating whole foods in the sense of vegetables and whatnot. They're eating shit like this. So
we didn't really discuss, do we, at length, like veganism. I could talk about that all day, but yeah.
It's like, obviously it's accessible and it is probably technically vegan, but that's not going to, I can pretty confidently say it's not going to be that good for you. I think compared to.
Is Mike going to get up any of the
macro breakdown?
It might be, maybe we could get like a little list of what's in it. But while I really quickly say, before I took into this, actually a lot of vegans watch my channel, and vegans sometimes get a bad rap for being what's the word?
Like a cult.
Disagreeable, yeah. And they'll be like, vociferously defend their position. Most vegans, I find, have, like everyone else, got common sense. And if you're a vegan for ethical reasons, I really respect that.
Yeah.
The problem, so I don't dislike veganism. Most of my week, I'm almost pescatarian anyway, so just eat fish. But the thing that I have against veganism, not in general, but it is that people often think it makes you automatically by default healthier.
Yeah.
When it doesn't. At best, I think veganism, if you follow a vegan diet, it should at best make you eat more fruits and vegetables, etc., grains, nuts. But at worst, I don't know many vegans, but the majority of the vegans I know are all what you would term junk food vegans in that they just eat things by convenience, which happen to be vegan.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you're gonna, unless you know enough to pick up the spares with supplements, you know, you might be less healthy than you were before.
I had a guy over at Sea with, and he thought, we were in training at the time, and he was like, I'm going to go vegan, you know, like, to be fair, his reasoning was sound. He wanted to lessen his CO2 impact because obviously like the CO2 impact of cattle and X, Y, Z. It sort of fell apart when all he did was eat chips and drink Stella because they were both vegan. So Stella Artois and obviously the humble French fry, they're both vegan.
Man, that's
and Oreos.
I bet you felt great. Yeah,
so
Oreos are vegan, I think. Yeah.
That, for me, didn't quite send the right message of becoming vegan. Like that, because he'll say, put on a bit of weight.
Chips and Stella all day long.
Yeah, so it didn't quite make him healthier. It made him less healthy.
That's the worst diet than Mrs. Beard's. And that's almost the worst diet I think I can imagine. Chips and Stella.
Mike, what's the macro breakdown on this, dude?
All right, so do you want the actual nutritional information first, or do you want to know what it is that you're eating?
Yeah, tell us a bit of both, Mike. We've got all day.
All right, so it's a fucking...
Who put 50 pence in this fucking guy?
Sat there with the food, sat on the table, chatting for about 10 minutes.
When Mike gets angry, he gets more scowls. Say you, Mike.
Right, tuck in then. Come on,
All right, okay, right.
We're going to tuck in as we...
A vegan burger made with I can't do this now. A vegan burger made with a juicy plant-based patty co-developed with Beyond Meat, featuring vegan sandwich sauce, ketchup, mustard, onion, pickles, lettuce, tomato, and a vegan alternative to cheese. Right, it says it is vegan certified.
Right, before I actually taste of it, I don't know if you can zoom in or whatever, but that's what it looks like. It actually looks very similar to a normal McDonald's burger. This is for the people listening as well, rather than watching. Got a juicy tomato on there. Let's
That's nicer than hamburger.
You're blown away. That doesn't take much, though, does it?
It'll set you back 429 of your daily calories.
Ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot. I think that's a lot for what that is.
For that is crazy.
That's dense, that, isn't it?
There's a lot of sauce on there, though. I mean, they've really sauced it up.
Yeah, but it's
3 different types.
It's not. But it's not. I mean, it's ketchup. It's not. There's no real fat apart from the mayo. There's no real fat base there. What do you know? What when they say plant based? What the heck is? It's falling apart, man. What is the patty actually made out of? When they say plant based, what plant?
Let's have a look.
I'm going to be at one with the vegetation here. You ready?
I would eat that every day of the week over a Big Mac or whatever the other ones are, hamburger.
The only way you can do this, really, I think, is to taste the patty of it on its own, because it tastes all right. I'm not quite as blown away as Josh.
But I think compared to like the burger that comes in a Big Mac.
Yeah, but
I mean, we did it before Christmas, didn't we? Like we did a burger version. It looked awful.
So I found what the Beyond Meat patty, I don't know if this is specifically what the McDonald's adaptation of it is, but a Beyond Burger patty is water, like pea protein, canola oil, coconut oil, rice protein, flavorings, potato starch, and the list goes on, but it's essentially just different proteins from different...
Do we know how much protein is in this sandwich, Mike? That's kind of an aggregator, I think, for how healthy something is.
It says per portion 19 grams.
That's pretty. So that's pretty more than the actual, like a normal hamburger, right?
Is that per pie?
Per patty, yeah, including the vegan cheese and other stuff as well. But
that's all right. I mean, it's high in calories for that amount of protein.
Yeah.
You could probably get
20 grams of fat in there as well. I don't know if that's a lot.
That is a lot for a vegetable. And it's only got one slice of cheese on there and a bit of mayonnaise. What the fuck is in this patty?
6.6 of which is saturated fat as well.
I mean, it tastes all right, and I'm impressed by the amount of protein in it. And I would rather eat that. I'm with you. I'd rather eat that than
I'm genuinely like gobsmacked at how well that tastes. Like I wanted to hammer it. I didn't want to like it, but that tastes so much better than a Big Mac or a regular cheeseburger for 99p. How much was that, did you say? How much did it cost?
I think it was like $3.29 just for the sandwich.
Fuck off. £3.29.
I think it was something like that, yeah. So I remember thinking that's pretty pricey. But I probably wouldn't expect me to say this, but I would rather eat that like you than almost anything else in McDonald's from the daytime menu.
Absolutely.
It's still not like a McMuffin, is it? But Yeah,
the McMuffin's banging, but like that is... I'm gobsmacked at how well that tastes.
They've had to squeeze to get taste out of it though. They've had to make it as pretty much as calorie dense as possible because for 429 calories, that is obscene. I could eat 20 of those. I think no big deal. And that'd be that'd be nearly 9,000 calories, right?
Wow. Maybe
I'm not. If anyone's going to say that, no, that's not happening. That's not. I'm not doing that video. It's good, yeah.
I'm gobsmacked.
It's not so good I'm going to finish it, but it's decent.
Yeah, it's not worth wasting your calories on. But that is, mate, I'm well impressed with that.
Well, the first time and the last time I think we'll ever say this, but well done, McDonald's. It's not as good as a festive pie though. That was the biggest thing from last year.
Your coffee, your Americano. Well, mate, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Were there any more final comments you wanted to make on this topic?
Just get down in the comments and fight amongst yourselves because I know people get really quite tribal when it comes to nutrition and fitness and stuff. And Mike looks at all the comments and has a good giggle at them. So you'll entertain Mike if nothing else. But yeah, let us know if there's anything else you want to hear about. But I think we've pretty much covered like everything about boring nutrition and weight management and whatnot here. You get somebody asking me what my biggest deadlift or squat is as well, mate. I can see it. But yeah, no, I think that was better than the last one. We were a bit rusty on the last one.
A bit more flow than last week's podcast. Well, next week, fingers crossed, as long as we don't mess anything up in post-production, it will be an episode with a guest. So keep your ears peeled because the little hairy fella is going abroad. Spoiler alert.
Unless I test positive for COVID after encountering you two miscreants today. Rennie, you don't look symptomatic though. But yeah, got to get PCR test tomorrow. I booked 2 PCR tests.
Why?
Just because I thought, because you've got to get one the day before you go. So I'm thinking like, shit, if one of them goes wrong, I don't mean it's negative. I mean like if they just don't send me the results and I can't really do anything about it at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that 2 people can't do that. So I'm going to get tested twice, 2 different places.
Oh, well.
Just so I can go make videos.
No wonder there's a national shortage.
Hey, I paid through the nose for it. It's like 120 quid. Jesus, man.
On that note, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Follow us on social media at Breaking Bread PD. Check out the Clips channel because that's doing really well. Obviously, you can take it all in bite-sized pieces. And we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.